Stephen, welcome to People in Legal.
Thanks, David. It's great to be here.
My goodness me, what an honor. A podcaster from an OG podcaster.
It was early days. 2004 was my first podcast.
My goodness me, and how things have changed along the way, I guess. And yeah,
It was back in the day. It was incredibly difficult. The only tools you had to do it were professional audio grade tools. I actually paid a music studio audio engineer to come and teach me how to use Logic Pro, and now, of course,
wow.
we can do it on Zoom. It's phenomenal.
It's incredible. So, actually, honored to have you on here. Stephen, would you like to do an introduction for our audience of yourself?
Well, my name is Stephen, and my company is called Taleist Agency. And what we do is help professional services firms to understand what their clients can't or won't tell them, and then use AI to turn that into competitive distance by taking that unique knowledge of their clients and then running it through absolutely everything they do. So everything they do marketing wise is in line with what their clients need from them.
Awesome. I mean, we had a really interesting pre-discussion about this, but I want to sort of backtrack a little bit. What's your story? How did you actually get to this point and doing what you're doing right now?
I have always been interested in technology. So in 1994, I started a web development business, which was an utterly stupid time to start a web development business because nobody knew what the web was. And to put that in context, it wasn't until 2010, I've memorized this statistic because it explains a lot. 16 years later, only half of businesses had a website. So you can imagine in 1994, that's 4 years before Google started. So I became a technology journalist because I also have a love of writing. So I became a technology journalist. I wrote a lot about the internet and other things. I came to Australia in 2002 and worked for a law firm, which is how I first encountered working inside a law firm. So although I have a law degree, I've never practiced law and worked. So I worked inside a law firm and came to know the industry. But over the years, I became a direct response copywriter. I took my love of writing and took it to what I think is one of the hardest types of writing, which is writing in a way that persuades the reader to do something. So it's not enough that they know something at the end of the writing. They're going to do something. They're going to pick up the phone and call you. And that's pretty hard. And I've done a lot of that for professional services. That actual, how do you run a campaign that gets a client to think,
Mm,
I should call these guys? Like, oh,
mm.
yeah, that, and for it to feel natural, because we all know lawyers don't want to feel salesy. But when you're shouting at somebody, your house is on fire, I've got a fire extinguisher, do you want me to come in? You don't sound salesy, you sound helpful. And that's what
Exactly.
copywriting does. It brings the right people together, the right provider and the right person. And that's, in one way or another, with detours into doing things in technology, that's been what I've been doing for 30 years. And that's what I use AI to do today, to take those skills and give them to people who haven't spent 30 years developing them.
Mm. Incredible. I mean, it's an incredible adaptation of those sort of skills and using AI. It's interesting because we were talking before about law firms and I guess some of the challenges of law firms getting new business and understanding their clients and where they're at. And I guess, you know, picking up AI tools and hoping that that's going to solve, some of the challenges there.
There's this idea that you're going to unwrap a $30 a month Copilot subscription and the AI is going to do this stuff for you, which is bonkers, right? We all simultaneously use AI and know that it's kind of good and kind of plausible, but not really there. And BD teams are being asked to use Copilot out of the box as if Copilot is going to understand the firm and its context and its clients just because it can read your email. That just doesn't make any sense. And there is a whole procession. I mean, in Australia last week, the AFR had its AI summit. And, you've got the CEO of Telstra, biggest telco here, saying you need to give the AI the context. If you don't give it the context, it doesn't work. We had Satya Nadella from Microsoft here in April. Essentially the same message. So you've got the maker of Copilot is saying, if you don't give it context, it can't do what you want it to do. So that idea that you need to give it knowledge about the firm, but you also need to give it skills. And in my opinion, direct response copywriting skills are the skills that you need to give it. That ability that if Copilot is writing an email for you, it's writing a persuasive email, not a salesy email, a persuasive email, an email that makes doing what you think is a good idea seem like the obvious next step.
Well, I guess it's understanding the audience, and I guess that's a deep analytical skill coming from copywriting. You're understanding the audience and how they're going to receive that message, and what they need to do to take action. I mean, it's really, yeah, it's a call to action.
80% of copywriting is research. So people think it's creative. People think it's about writing. People think you have to be a good writer. 80% of it is knowing the audience, right? If you know the audience and what is upsetting them, then you can be persuasive. You don't have to be the best. You know, if you know the stakes of this, somebody's scared of this, this is the bad experience they've had before. If you know all of those things and you can say, hey, I know that terrible thing has happened to you before, but you've still got this problem and you need to solve it. And I can do this. And you don't have to worry whether I can do it because I can show you 7 other times that I've done it. That's not salesy. That's solving somebody's problem, but it does not come naturally to people. And if you want to see how unnaturally it comes to law firms, the fastest check, go to any page on a law firm's website and look how many sentences begin we, our firm, our practice group, whatever it might be. Is that about them or is that about the person reading the page? And if you can't even write you as the first word of the sentence versus we or I or our firm, you're already off course.
Just talking from a small business point of view, you sit down in your account, you have a good chat to them, you tell them your life story and that sort of stuff, and go through everything else as well. But when it comes to going to a lawyer, it's a bit like going to the dentist. I know I need to go. I know it feels a bit scary. How do law firms get over that sort of feeling from small business?
I think the first thing they have to recognize is that's how people feel. And I've had that conversation with so many lawyers, and it's not just law. With lots of my clients over the years, I've said to them, you have to understand that one of the questions in your potential client's mind is, will you think I'm a good client? You're there as the lawyer thinking, I welcome everybody with money. Please come forth and see me if you're in my sector or whatever my area of practice is. But basically, if you can pay my fees, you are welcome here, and I don't judge you. People on the outside don't understand that. And to give you an example from outside law, for those watching the video, I have no hair. I'm a big fan of hats. And I used to wear 𝗂𝗄𝗏𝗄s, and my wife used to be embarrassed to be seen with me because they don't suit me. Like, they're great hats, but they don't suit me. And because I have what's called a long oval. So I looked for a hat maker online, and I found a woman in Sydney whose website was beautiful. She made the hats for all of Baz Luhrmann's films. So the
Wow.
photos on her website are Nicole Kidman,
Mm.
Hugh Jackman. And if I wasn't desperate because my wife wouldn't go out of the house with me anymore and I won't go out without a hat, I would not have picked up the phone. And when I did pick up the phone, I said, do you make hats for people like me? Because I'm not famous. And she's like, what are you talking about? Like, she didn't get it, that anybody would be intimidated to come to her because she had the Fancy Pants website and the celebrities on it. So for lawyers to understand that your client is nervous, if not of you, then nervous of something else. And therefore there is a whole lot around, in addition to technical expertise,
Mm.
that you need to, at the very least, fake. Like, if it's not really your MO, if you are super transactional, okay, but you probably need to fake some of that other stuff. And again, it's one of the things that I love about AI, because it closes the gap. If it's done well, I use AI, for instance, all the time. Like, I know I have weaknesses. I don't know what all of them are. I mean, I've got people who might tell me, but I don't know what all my weaknesses are. But when I find one, I improve my AI to close it the next time, to say to me, Stephen, you do have a tendency to do this. you look like you're about to do that again. That's what I think is the beauty of this, that you can take what you're really good at, take what you know you need to be good at, and with you and AI, create this sort of Iron Man system where you're in the suit and the suit is making you better, but it's not making you redundant. It's
Mm.
making you better.
And I mean, if you're a smaller firm looking at this podcast and thinking to yourself like it just feels a little bit too hard, I think it's a solution that just applies across the board, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody, like, if you're a small firm, you probably are under even more pressure for your fee earners to be marketing, to be making this stuff work, to be posting on LinkedIn in a way that's more interesting, to say, we are honored to announce, or here is a deal note of no interest to anybody. To be saying something, useful, and to be confident doing it, because a lot of the challenge, in my opinion, that professional services people, especially lawyers, have, they're expert in what they're expert in, but they are
Mm.
frightened of looking foolish. So
Mm.
it is easier to do nothing outside your comfort zone than to run the risk of looking foolish. Whereas, again, these tools give you the ability to be confident, because you can put in what you're thinking. And if it's well trained, it can reflect back to you where that might be better, where it could be stronger, where you're being a little bit formulaic or overly legal. And you can have that conversation. And at the end of it, be really happy with what you're putting out, because you're really confident about it, because you've workshopped it. And I think in a smaller firm, that's even more valuable than if you're at the top of the tree and your big clients are just going to, shovel hundreds of thousands of dollars at you every year
Mm.
because you won the work at some point and they need someone to do the work.
Mm.
But it applies to everybody.
You said some magic words there that caught my attention. Well trained. How do you train AI to actually be, help you with BD?
Interestingly to me, everybody that is talking about this. Like, as I said, the CEO of Microsoft in
Mm.
Sydney in April talking about, he called it skills, but that's AI talk for knowledge. He meant knowledge. That's what he was talking about with the word skill. But a trained AI has three things. It has obviously the massive, the unimaginable amount of knowledge that an LLM has under the surface.
Mhm.
Then it has knowledge that it needs to have about your firm, your strategy, your objectives, your tone of voice, and so on. And then it needs to have skills, because one of the great human sized mysteries of AI is, you ask AI to do something, you would think
Mm.
that the model would say, who are the best people in the world at doing this? How can I emulate them? And, whatever.
Mm.
And it just doesn't. It just shoots out some rubbish.
Mm.
So you need the massive knowledge of the LLM. You need the knowledge specific to your circumstances over the top. And you need the skills that you want the LLM to apply to both the layers beneath the skill. And that bit, so one, knowing the skills and knowing how to get the AI to execute them,
Mm.
is an art that takes some investment to learn. Again, it's not something you can, the classic is saying, you are a great copywriter, now write this. I'm like, well, that's a better prompt than just write this, but it's not going to turn an LLM into a great marketer. And
No.
similarly, just dumping in your brand tone of voice PDF is not going to make the LLM able to write in your tone of voice. I mean, it'll write better, but it's a massive mistake people make, is that they just throw in docs and PDFs and PowerPoints, and they think that the LLM will magically make sense of it. So there's that art of, what are you going to put in? What are you not going to put in? How are you going to structure it so the LLM knows how to consume it and prioritize it? And what skills do you need to be applied over the top? And it is, I mean, the businesses, I get feedback from businesses all the time, and this is going to sound ridiculously self-serving. I just like it.
Mm.
I've changed their world. Like, I've had multiple emails, and this is outside law, people saying to me, I've learned to love my business again.
Mm.
because a lot of my clients are like the smaller firm you mentioned. They are experts in what they do, but who
Mm,
also have to market, and they fear marketing. It
mm,
upsets them because they don't know what to do. They're overwhelmed with 1,000 Instagram reels and LinkedIn posts telling them, you should be on Pinterest, you should be doing this, you should be
mm.
making videos of yourself dancing, you should be putting in selfies of yourself in the cut. Like, all of this stuff is coming at them and they hate it.
Yeah.
And now they're marketing confidently. And literally, I could fish out of my inbox
Mm.
emails from all around the world, people using essentially the phrase, "I've fallen in love with my business again."
Wow, amazing. One of the things that I thought was really interesting, we are chatting about prior to the podcast, was you can actually create personas. You can create these digital personas of potential clients or prospects and actually have their BD people market against them and pressure test and do those sort of things.
Yeah, so you can. It's called synthetic research is the domain,
Mm,
and you've got people like Mark Ritson, marketing professor, Adweek columnist, saying synthetic research is as good as research with humans, because what you do is you create hundreds of digital versions of your clients, all slightly different on dimensions that you determine in advance, and then you survey them. Now, the mechanism is different from surveying humans, because how you build these you can't just say, this digital persona is the CFO in a mining company. That's not enough information for the LLM. So you have to build dimensions to make these creations closer to real. Then you can't necessarily ask an LLM a question the same way that you would ask a human. You can't phrase it necessarily the same way. But if you're, say, a law firm and you're looking to get more work in, the renewable energy sector, for instance, you might realize, okay, well, when I pitch, there are going to be general counsel, there are going to be chief risk officers, there's going to be CFOs, the CEO might be involved, a board member might be involved. And what we do is create hundreds of versions of each of those roles and determine what matters. Are there different segments within those roles? So are there some GCs who are less risk averse than others? Are there some who are particularly opposed to certain types of messaging? What triggers the CEO to think not this firm? Like, no, that message just not, I've heard that before and I don't like it. Like, we've done a lot of work for clients where we've discovered that certain messages that are popular actually trigger real cynicism in the client because the client's heard it before. So that's really helpful. So if you know you're really good at something and you want to say, I'm really good at something, it's helpful to know that your competitors who aren't have said the same thing and then have gone in and disappointed. And as a result of that, you're actually not warming up the room when you say you're good at it. You're actually triggering resistance. So you then need to know, well, okay, if the room is cynical about that message, how do I back myself up? How do I get over it so that they believe I can do it? So we can do that, as I say, by creating hundreds of digital personas, client proxies, and surveying them. And then you have this incredible intelligence into what wins work and what doesn't.
that's incredible. It basically goes through the entire firm. I'm thinking to myself, like, that is a partner training tool. So if partners actually want to try and win new clients in that sector, they can use it. I mean, BD people can use it. I mean, everyone, associates who want to win business can use it. So pretty much anybody in the entire firm can use this as a training tool and pressure test and try different approaches and see where it goes and see how that, yeah, it's that's incredible.
Well, and then you can build it through into your AI so that, when a partner is sending something out to a particular type of client, when the AI is writing, so one, your AI has the skills of a copywriter, so they're writing persuasively. And again, I feel I have to emphasize this because salesy is such a feared word in law firms. It's not salesy. I mean, to give you one example, one client we did this for, their win rate on pitches went from 35% to 85%.
Wow.
And this client is really, really good at asking their clients why they won the work. Like, they ask the questions. And what I love about that story is the clients just say, well, you felt like the best candidate. Like it was a kind of crazy question. You won the work. Why did you win the work? Because you felt like the right person. They didn't say, because your proposals are really salesy, or, there's just something really powerful about them. You just felt like the natural choice. That's the copywriting that I'm talking about. So
Mm.
when you have that information on what your clients care about, you, as the legal expert, know what you want to say to the client. So you can write that, and then you can put that in the AI and say, write that in a way that is compelling to this particular recipient. So you're still practicing law at the top level. You're still giving the best advice,
Yep.
but you are positioning it in a way that you probably didn't ever position it before, because you just didn't know what mattered to the person on the other end. That, generally speaking, whatever professional services people say to you in conversation, they act with their clients like getting the technical advice is the issue, as opposed to solving your problem is the issue. So my problem as a general counsel might be, I've got a board meeting tomorrow and I've got to sell an idea to the board. So yes, your legal advice is technically excellent, but if you can help me with the words that will sell it to the board,
Mm.
then you could see. So we did that work, for instance, for an accounting firm on a retention question.
Mm.
And what we discovered in that was that there was this convergence that 80% of the client types that they had highly valued an advisor who gave them something to give to the board.
Ah,
Now,
interesting.
that's an audit business. So it wasn't a real standout, attribute that you might have as you do a really great audit.
Mm.
The standout attribute was, you make me look good to the board. Those are two different things. And when you know your client values, they expect you to give an excellent audit. That's what they're paying you $200,000 a year
That's
for.
right. That's right.
But when you know what the extra stuff they value is, that's how you can differentiate yourself. Technical expertise is the floor, not the ceiling.
Yeah. Magic, absolutely magic. A lot of professional services firms, I mean, anyone who has a professional services firm could actually really use that particular methodology.
It's the once you What I've said, I mean, again, I like it because it's like solving. I'm trying to convince my 13-year-old that she should love maths, because maths is solving puzzles. And that's all maths is, right? Solve the puzzle. This solves a puzzle. So many firms have data that say you're in consideration for this, or not in consideration for this kind of work. You're loved for this. You're seen as that, whatever it might be. But that data doesn't tell them how to change it. That data doesn't tell them why you're seen like that. What is it you're doing that makes you seen like that? What can you do differently that will give you different results next year? So what I've seen is, when you present this work, it so often explains things that they just,
Mm.
it's just like they can see. I mean, I appreciate I'm not Fred Hollows, the surgeon, giving people, sight again, traveling to Africa and giving people sight again. But sometimes I really do feel like I've given people visibility of stuff in the heart of their business that they didn't even know was there. And now
Yeah.
they know it's there. Well, I mean, frankly speaking, not to be vulgar, they can turn it into money, to be honest. That's what they can do.
And it sort of seems like this is the perfect time of the year to actually consider sort of a service like that, because, I mean, with the budgets coming up, I guess, with the end of financial year and the new budget year coming up, and I guess there's a pressure on BD folks, and partners and associates in firms, accounting and legal, to actually think about how they're gonna actually reach those budgets. Having this sort of stuff locked in early on the year makes sense.
Well, I spoke to one firm where a practice group missed its target last year. Hard target this year. The head of that practice group has got to find 5 new clients, each of them worth at least $200,000 a year. How?
That's right.
Like, it's very easy for whoever's in charge to set the target. That's a whiteboard and a marker and a
Mm.
million seems about right. That's great. But if you're the head of that practice group, how? And in their case, they know that referrers are important, but
Absolutely.
but they don't know what makes a referrer comfortable to refer you. What
Mm.
what makes a referrer change who they're referring already? They don't have any of that information, so they're just shooting things out into the world with a and you can say it's 12 months to reach the million, But this is Australia, right?
Mm.
So once you've ruled out the school holidays and
Mhm.
December and January, you've got about 25 minutes to find those 5
I
clients.
totally agree. It's difficult. I mean, you've got to start ramping up from really early on. It's a big challenge. But Stephen, I think you offer a really valuable service. We're going to put the links into your service and your business in the comments. I really appreciate your time today. It's been really interesting. Thank you.
Thanks, David. It's been a real pleasure.